Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Battle Stadium singles video here on iStarly TV. This is part of my Road to Masters series where I try to climb the online ranked Battle Stadium singles ladder. Today we have another brand new team here, really interesting team as you can see, and I'm gonna this is a little random tangent, but I have this weird thing about me where if I look at a team of mine or just any team that I'm using and like there's a lot of like a good variety of like colors, like the team, like I associate the team with being like very colorful, and in my mind I just kind of that appeals to me more, so I tend to like gravitate towards teams like this, or I tend to like think in my mind that this team is like better because it looks kind of visually appealing to me. I don't know why I felt the need to mention that or what that matters to anyone or anything, but I don't know. I just wanted to mention that because this team, in my opinion, does have that like visual appealingness to me, where it's kind of like it almost covers like most every color of the rainbow. Like, you know, there's a lot of different colors going on here, which I like. Anyway, with that random tangent out of the way, let's get to the team itself. So when I was building the team, I think the first Pokemon that I thought of, honestly, in testing for this team, I tried a few different builds with Electivire. This is the Electivire set that I think, I was gonna say is the way to go. I think there's probably other ways to build it, but this was the one that I was set on building around. And it has max attack with an adamant nature, and then just enough speed to outspeed, you know, the typical fast Pokemon like Fluttermane and Qianpao after a Trailblaze. So Trailblaze is there kind of like I use it on other Trailblaze Pokemon, basically as a means of like, if I expect the opponent to switch out or if I'm about to knock them out, I can use Trailblaze to get in some damage while boosting my speed. And then after that, I'm just kind of like a big threat because I'm faster than everything. And then also Electivire has the Motor Drive ability, which when hit with an electric move will boost its speed, and I think it also makes it immune to electric moves. So that opens up a couple of really good options for defensive Terra types for Electivire, because you can go like Terra Flying or Terra Water, and those are both pretty solid Terra types, and you no longer have that electric type weakness once you Terrastalize. So I went for Terra Flying because obviously, you know, it means that we would be a flying type that is not weak to electric, and also obviously one of the biggest weaknesses of Electivire, well, the only weakness of Electivire is ground types, which if we go Terra Flying, we are now immune to. So I thought Terra Flying would be a solid option for Electivire as a defensive Terra type. And then the moves are pretty straightforward. We have Supercell Slam, which is the new move added with the Indigo Disk DLC. It's a 100 base power electric type physical move, which is really good. I think it has 95 accuracy, which is also pretty solid. However, if it misses, you take, I think, 50% damage recoil. So it's a pretty risky move. Even though it has a really high accuracy, those few times where you do miss will hurt. And so as you can see there, I've mitigated that with the Wide Lens item. The Wide Lens item boosts my accuracy by 10%, which makes Supercell Slam 100% accurate. Then I have Earthquake for, it's just a great move, and then Ice Beam for coverage. And that's pretty much it with the Electivire set. Another good move you could run is Cross Chop, which is a strong fighting type move. Pretty inaccurate, but with the Wide Lens, it gets a little bit of a boost. And that's a solid move if you want to try that. But this is the set that I started with on Electivire. I like Electivire. In testing, I did have some games where it's pretty good, and we'll kind of see how it shows, you know, if it shows up in this video. Then we have Entei, which is another Pokemon I've used before, but I was looking on Pokemon Home, the app, which shows all of the Pokemon, the most used Pokemon, and kind of their most common items and movesets and everything like that. And I kind of threw together this combination of moves and Terra type for Entei. In the past, I was using Heavy Duty Boots, which is pretty good on Entei, but this set looked really interesting. So it's holding the Mirror Herb item, which is an item I don't think I've ever seen it competitively. Maybe you have, maybe you've used it, but this is definitely my first time using it. So the Mirror Herb item, when the opponent boosts their stats, you copy that boost once. So it's a one-time use item. So if we happen to like switch into a Dragonite and they Dragon Dance, we also get a free Dragon Dance boost, which is pretty insane, especially on a Pokemon like Entei, who's already really strong. So I thought it would be an interesting item to try out. And then the 4 moves are pretty standard. However, we are going Terra Grass, which I think is Entei's most common Terra type right now. Obviously, defensively, it's great because it removes your water weakness and also your ground type weakness, and it gives you a decent offensive coverage. And we do have Terra Blast as well, so we can change into a grass type, hit pretty hard with Terra Blast, which is a grass type then. And of course, Sacred Fire and Extreme Speed are moves that you should always be running on Entei because they're both amazing. Finally, there's Stone Edge, which mainly is there, I think, for Dragonite. It lets us hit Dragonite really hard. And if Dragonite goes Terra Steel, well, obviously we just have Sacred Fire. And if they go Terra Normal, we still do have Sacred Fire to do good damage and potentially burn them. So Entei's awesome. I love it. I love it so much. Then we have my favorite little Espeon set that I built that I've been using for the past couple of seasons. And it felt like it fit pretty nicely. You know, a lot of the teams lately that I've been building around, that I've been kind of testing with, have been focusing on Stealth Rock and like Stealth Rock leads, and sometimes they feel a little awkward like with how I've been building the rest of my teams. So I just wanted a Pokemon that's like really good, really offensive, and also effectively like stops the opponent from setting up Stealth Rock on my side, but effectively throws it back on them. So it's kind of like we get our own Stealth Rock even without having it on the team. Great Espeon set. Again, I've used it in the past and it's been fantastic. Then we have a new take on Urshifu. I mean, it's not anything revolutionary. It's max attack and max speed with a Focus Sash. Focus Sash is actually a great item on Urshifu, and so far in testing with this build, I feel like I've been liking this one better than any other Urshifu set I've run in the past. I've tried Urshifu a couple of times and it just doesn't click with me for some reason. Like, I know it's a really good Pokemon, and when I play against it, it feels really scary, but for some reason when I've used it in the past, it hasn't felt amazing. So in testing so far with Focus Sash, I've been really liking it. Finally, we have a couple other Pokemon. We have my Choice Specs Dragonite. I'm going back to the basics. If you've been watching my Battle Stadium singles video from the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, this was probably my favorite Pokemon in singles for a long time, and that is Choice Specs Dragapult with a modest nature. So the goal here is to hit as hard as possible. We've got 4 powerful moves to do that. I went Terra Steel for a good defensive Terra type. It gives me, you know, it makes me resist Dragon and Fairy, which we would otherwise be weak to, obviously. But again, the goal is just to hit really hard. Big downside with this set is you lock yourself into a move. So if you lock yourself into Thunderbolt and they go into a ground type, you have to switch out. So there are some big downsides to it, but people typically don't expect the raw power from this set. And of course, Dragapult is naturally fast, so you do outspeed a lot of common threats, except for like Flutter Mane, Chien-Pao, Iron Bundle, but for the most part, you outspeed just about everything else. Finally, there is Assault Vest Ursaluna, which is yet another amazing Pokemon. I don't think I need too much more explanation for it. I'm sure you're familiar. So there is the awesome team. Very, very good stuff here. Let's see how these games go. All right, game number 1 here. And looking at my opponent's team, they have a few interesting things. They have Corviknight, they've got Conkeldurr, which you really don't see that often, although the rest of their team does look scary. They also have Archaludon, which is honestly pretty scary. It's a pretty scary Pokemon. If you send it in against the right Pokemon and it takes a hit, like a physical hit, it gets its defense boosted, and from there it's just a defensive monster. So it's really, really hard to take down. I'm just kind of thinking of what to bring as a lead, so I'm just kind of really considering here. And it looks like, I think Entei is a decent lead. Of course, they do have Urshifu, which I really need to be mindful of, especially against Entei. But Entei's good against, it's fine against Flutter Mane, because yeah, Flutter Mane's faster, but I can usually take a hit and do a lot of damage with Sacred Fire. And then I bring Dragapult and Ursaluna there in the back, I think. By the way, I'm post-narrating this, so I've already done these battles. I just wanted to kind of I was recording them over the weekend. You know, I was just playing on the ladder and stuff, trying out the team, and I wanted to record some of the videos, but I didn't have time to actually narrate over them, so that's why I'm doing that now. But anyway, yeah, I think that the Pokemon I brought look pretty solid. You know, it's always the case. It's like, Entei looks pretty good against everything, except my opponent does have Hisui and Arcanine, which is really good against Entei because it 4 times resists the Sacred Fire. I kind of figured, like, if that's the case, if they do bring that, I could maybe Terrastalize and then hit it with a Stone Edge or something, just kind of see how that goes. But my opponent does end up leading with Flutter Mane, which, like I said, is kind of rough, but also I don't mind that much. They do get the booster energy, which is really interesting. You know, typically if you see Flutter Mane as a lead, it might have like a Focus Sash or something, so it's kind of rare that lead Flutter Mane actually has the booster energy item. Either way, I'm going to click Sacred Sword here because, you know, assuming I live a hit from them, I should be able to do massive damage, and if I can potentially burn them, I can also potentially just kill them. But they are going to actually go ahead and Terrastalize. They are Terra Fire, so that works out pretty well for them because it means that there is no way that they're going to get burned. Also, of course, they are going to resist the Sacred Fire. Now, here's a funny thing. They actually go Calm Mind, which is, I think, really greedy. I mean, maybe they thought I would switch out for sure, but if they thought I would switch out, why would they Terrastalize, right? Because of my Mirror Herb, I'm also going to get a special defense boost, which is going to help me against the Flutter Mane. Obviously, the special attack boost doesn't matter. And then I go for a Sacred Fire, and even though they resist it, they take more than half damage from it. It's insane. So Entei's a really strong Pokemon. I think I'm adamant with max attack, so it just hits really, really hard. And then I'm able to finish them off with an extreme speed. So fantastic first turn for me. I get my opponent's Terra, and I knock out an extremely strong Pokemon from their team. I don't know that the Calm Mind was the best play from them. You know, I think if they had just hit me with like a Shadow Ball or something, that would have been a lot scarier for me because I don't think I would take that really well. Here they go into Urshifu. I figured my opponent has already Terrastalized. I've already cleanly knocked out one of their Pokemon without taking any damage. I'm good to Terrastalize here. Also, I know that they cannot Terrastalize either, so this puts me in just such a fantastic position to go Terra Grass, which of course means I will resist their moves and do a lot of damage back to them. If they're Focus Sash, of course they will survive, but beyond that, I will be knocking them out here. The Surging Strike still does pretty decent damage, just showing how strong Urshifu is, because of course I do resist that now. But we're gonna go ahead and click the Terra Blast here, and I do believe it's gonna kill them. I don't remember if they have Focus Sash. Oh, wow, they actually take that really well. Never mind. I mean, you know, it's super effective. I am a Pokemon that hits really hard, so I'm surprised that they took that. Now they go into Ursaluna, which is definitely the scary one, like I was talking about. So I hit it with the extreme speed. Obviously, this is kind of like a nightmare scenario because they resist it and they get a defense boost. So pretty much all of my subsequent attacks are going to, do nothing to it. However, I looked at my team there and I was like, okay, I think given the last 2 Pokemon my opponent has, I think either Ursaluna and or Dragapult can finish this game strong. So I kind of felt like I didn't need it didn't need Entei anymore, and I didn't want to switch one of my other 2 Pokemon into an attack to take damage. So I figured I'd go for Sacred Fire. I know it wouldn't kill them. I know it wouldn't do that much damage, but if I can get a burn like I do here, then that helps me out a lot just because it gives them some residual damage. And the damage from Sacred Fire also helps me too. So this gets me to get their Ursaluna to a little bit below half health after everything is said and done. They actually go for Electro Shot here, which is going to, I think, knock me out, and it gives them a free special attack boost. So good play on their part, but I felt pretty confident at this point with the last 2 Pokemon that I do have that, you know, given that they're both pretty significantly weakened and both of my last 2 Pokemon can outspeed them in some way. Of course, Dragapult is faster than both of their Pokemon, and Ursaluna has a priority move. I felt pretty confident here. So I went into Ursaluna here just figuring I should be able to live a hit from them. I am Assault Vest, so I figured like no matter what they go for, I should be able to live. They do have Aura Sphere, which luckily, again, because I'm Assault Vest, I do survive, which is pretty crazy. And then there, they knocked me out with the Aqua Jet, of course, you know, unsurprisingly. I went for Vacuum Wave just in case they didn't go for Aqua Jet, I would win, but either way, I get to go into Dragapult. Of course, I do resist this Aqua Jet. I'm just going to go for the clean Thunderbolt. You know, it's overkill, but it's the safest play I have. Don't want to risk the miss with the Draco Meteor. And that is going to be a W on the first game. So good stuff there. I think the team looked really good, and this was a really fast-paced game, so I like how we got to show off Entei's Terra type as well, and it was pretty important there. We also just got to show off the power of Entei, which is great because I love Entei. So let's go to game 2. Game number 2 here, and my opponent's team is also looking really strong. They also have Entei, which is scary. I'm growing to love Entei in this meta, and I'm also growing to fear it on the enemy's team. They also have Sneasler, which can be annoying, and Ogerpon Water, which can be pretty strong as well. I decided to lead with Espeon here because I felt like Sneasler was a pretty likely lead on their end. Usually when you do see Sneasler, it is a lead with like Toxic Spikes and like Fake Out and stuff. Usually, of course, it does also have Focus Sash. So I thought Espeon's a good lead. It's maybe kind of obvious, but even just about anything else that they bring, I think Espeon is decent against. The two Pokemon that I would probably fear the most would be Entei and Fluttermane. Entei I would probably just switch out because it's scary. It can pretty much kill me. And Fluttermane, I actually have Terra Normal, so I have an option if they lead Fluttermane to actually kind of throw them off guard completely. So again, I just felt like Espeon was great. If they lead with like Porygon, I could also trick them my Choice Scarf, which would be really, really good for me. Then I end up bringing Ursaluna and I believe Entei as well. Again, Entei's just so good. Ursaluna's all, I mean, they're just both really good, as we will continue to see. You know, I keep singing their praises, but it is for good reason. And I'm trying to think of what else my opponent had as far as threats. I mean, you know, obviously we don't want Dragonite to set up, so that can be kind of scary, but either way, they do end up leading with Sneasler, and that's perfect for me. I don't think they typically expect me to be faster with that Choice Scarf, so that's another reason why I love this Espeon set, because people rarely kind of expect what I'm gonna do. They rarely expect me to be faster than things that, you know, I wouldn't otherwise be faster than, and they don't Terrasilize, because again, why would I be faster, right? So I'm able to cleanly take them to that Focus Sash, which is perfect, and I think my opponent may have forgotten about Magic Bounce, which does happen as well. You know, with these Pokemon like Espeon that you rarely see on the ladder, sometimes you tend to forget kind of what they do. So I understand my opponent. I've definitely had a few situations like that, though that is unfortunate. It is going to give me a free kill on this Sneasler, which again, the reasoning for that is a little rough because they should have done damage to me. I assume they would have gone for like Dire Claw and would have done a lot of damage to me, although I do have some defense investment, but unfortunately, that's not how it goes for my opponent. Now they're going to go into Entei, and you know, I said that Entei would be a rough matchup for my Espeon, but now that I've already taken down one of their Pokemon, I just felt like I'm fine just staying in, going for Psychic. I'm probably going to be faster unless they go like Extreme Speed, and I just want to get damage on them now. So they do go Sacred Fire, and it is a critical hit, so unfortunately I would have survived that pretty nicely had they not critted me. And it's possible I could have even followed the follow-up extreme. I could have survived the follow-up Extreme Speed, sorry, because again, I do have defense EVs, but unfortunately that's not how it works out. That is okay though. I'm gonna go ahead and go into Ursaluna, just feeling like, I mean, Ursaluna is super, super tanky, and I just felt like, you know, even though I don't have defense investment, Ursaluna's defense is pretty high, its HP is also pretty high. I just felt like I could take a hit from this thing, and I'm debating what move to go for just in case they switch. I felt like Blood Moon was the best move here, because if I went for Earth Power and they happen to switch into Dragonite or something, or even Ogerpon predicting that, or if they Terrasilize, which is exactly what happens, I can hit whatever comes in, or I can hit this Entei for a ton of damage, which is exactly how it plays out. They also are running Terra Grass just like I am, and they do also have Terra Blast, so this is going to do massive damage to me. Of course, I am weak to this. I considered Terrastilizing, but when I was looking at my team, I deduced that my Entei is probably the best bet for Terrastilizing, given what is remaining on both teams. So I just didn't want to Terrasilize just yet. Luckily for me, that does end up working out really well, because I knocked them out with the Blood Moon even without Terrastilizing, so that is perfect. because as you will see here, their final Pokemon is Porygon 2, and I'm gonna kind of make maybe a funny, maybe interesting play. They trace my Mind's Eye, which doesn't matter. I'm gonna Terastallize now, figuring that they probably have Ice Beam, but I can probably survive it. I was just thinking, like, what could they have against my Entei that would make me want to Terastallize Entei? And I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and Terastallize, go for the Hyper Voice, get off as much damage on this Porygon 2 as possible. I have Assault Vest, so even if they go like Ice Beam, I should take that pretty well, and I no longer am weak to it because I've removed my ground typing. So I do think Ice Beam is the most likely move, and of course that is what they go for. I did figure as well that they would be faster, which is a little unfortunate. If I were faster, I mean, this would just be even easier, but as you'll see, this is going to be a good situation for me. I take them down there, and here I just go for the Blood Moon. I figured even if they recover, I think I've got this game pretty nicely locked up. Like, even if they recover, actually, you know, because I was like, I'm gonna, you know, I took that first one really well, and it's gonna be really close if I survive the second one, and I do, and I kill them with the Blood Moon. I was thinking too, like, I'm so low on health that I think it's pretty unlikely that they would recover, because from their perspective, they probably feel like there's a chance that they could knock me out with Ice Beam, right? So either way, that ends up working out really well in my favor. And once again, we get to show off the true power of, well, in this case, we get to show off the power of Ursaluna, but we also got to show off the true power of Espeon. So really fun stuff. And let's go to a game 3. And we're finally at game 3. My opponent's team is very green. They also have a couple of grass types, and the main thing that stands out to me is Breloom. I'm always terrified of Breloom. I always want to make sure to have a Pokemon that can counter it, just because I've gotten destroyed by it so many times when it puts so many of my Pokemon to sleep. Luckily, I do kind of have a built-in counter in the form of Espeon. I have Magic Bounce, so they can't Spore me. Also, Espeon looked like a really solid lead here. The one Pokemon I was terrified of is if I led with Espeon would be Tyranitar, because I would not want to stay in against Tyranitar. And if I switch, like, Tyranitar is just so versatile and it can hit pretty hard that if they use the right move on my switch, they can just kind of do a lot of damage. But I also thought there was a chance maybe I would trick the Tyranitar if they led with it. They also just might not expect me to lead with Espeon, right? Because that's another beauty of Espeon, is it doesn't seem like a lead Pokemon, right? So either way, I was kind of debating a bunch of things. There were a lot of Pokemon I wanted to bring. I really wanted to bring that Electivire. Sadly, I didn't really get to show off Electivire in this video, but I will be bringing it back just because it's a cool Pokemon and I really like it and I want to show it off. So you can expect more Electivire in the future. I know it didn't really get to show itself in this video, but we are showcasing the power of some of these other awesome Pokemon. There's too many awesome Pokemon on one team, so you know we can't have all of them be in the spotlight in every single game, unfortunately. So my opponent leads Electivire and I lead Espeon. I figured I could just go for Psychic, just get off damage. You know, I envision Regieleki. Did I say Electivire at first? Of course I mean Regieleki. I envision it being somewhat bulky, but that does massive damage, and it has a Focus Sash, and I'm faster, and it's revealed to be the Zoroark. That's a Pokemon I saw in the team preview that I was kind of scared of as well, and luckily, you know, I think Espeon really helped out there. They do knock me out here, but I didn't feel too bad about this. I mean, it is pretty unfortunate, but this is another really fast-paced game already, right? All of these games have been like KOs on turn 1 or turn 2. It's pretty insane. But luckily, I can just go right into Urshifu, go for the Aqua Jet. I was worried they would have, I think they get Shadow Sneak, so I was worried about that. But I think they don't have it, or they don't go for it, so I'm able to knock them out perfectly while my Focus Sash is still intact. Obviously, the Focus Sash from them, that was a little rough because it meant my Espeon got knocked out. And it's important to note that they are still going to have their Regieleki in the back because their Zoroark disguised as Regieleki, so that means they have it, right? I was looking at both teams here, and I make what might be a weird play. Once again, I'm looking at my Pokemon, looking at who might be the best one to Terastallize, and I settle on Urshifu, even though, of course, they are absolutely faster than me because Regieleki is the fastest Pokemon in Pokemon history, and they're super effective against me. However, with that Focus Sash, and I don't think Regieleki gets any moves that can hit twice, I felt safe Terastallizing here, and my goal was to survive a hit with my Focus Sash, and then pretty much kill them with the Surging Strikes. And if I didn't kill them, I could just pick them off with an Aqua Jet. Although I think Regieleki actually does get a extreme speed, I think. So that's an interesting one. But either way, they go into Blaziken, which means I'm gonna get to cleanly knock them out here, which is pretty awesome. I'm definitely very happy about that, right? Because Blaziken could have been another Pokemon that would be really scary, and I imagine their Terra type would be good for them as well. So I was really happy I got to knock them out there. That leaves me with 2 Pokemon versus my opponent's 1 Regieleki. And again, Regieleki is insanely fast. I just went for Aqua Jet here. I was worried they would have extreme speed, but pretty much like the Zoroark situation, they actually show that they do not have the priority move. And that means I'm going to get off a lot of damage with this Aqua Jet. Massive damage thanks to the fact that I went Terra Water. Of course, they're easily going to kill me with the Thunderbolt, but that means that I can go right into Entei and finish them off with an extreme speed. Although in all honesty, I don't remember if I click Sacred Fire or Extreme Speed. I think I do click Extreme Speed, figuring that even if it doesn't kill, if I happen to survive their hit, I can just go for it again, although they very well could be choice spec. So this was a scary situation. This was another one where I was like, okay, things have been going so well for me in this battle, but I could still very well lose, right? So let's see what their Terra type is. They go for Terra, drumroll please, Electric, right? Perfect. I really like Regieleki, by the way. I want to use it on teams as well. The problem with it is that its move pool is so bland. Like, it gets electric moves, it gets some normal moves, that's it. I think Terra really helps it though, because with Terastallizing you can give it another type of move basically with Terra Blast. But either way, we are going to be able to knock out that Regieleki with the extreme speed. Once again showing off the power of Entei, this time showing off the power of the Focus Sash Urshifu, and also showing off the beauty and power of Espeon as well. So I love this team. Fun stuff. Let's talk about it. It's raining and I actually don't mind. Well, actually my character does kind of mind. He was covering his eyes, but those were the games. Really awesome games. I'm really happy with how they turned out. We got 3 wins there, and yeah, I just had a great time with the games, and I enjoyed just how fast-paced they were. Like, there was a lot of decision-making, and even in the games where I kind of had a really strong start and it looked like it was my game even from very early on, there were situations where it looked like the opponent maybe had a chance to come back. So those were really good games, really back and forth. And I mean, some of them were kind of lopsided, but it was still really fun. So I think that was a great showcase of the team. Unfortunately, we didn't get to show off Electivire super well. So I'll probably try to use it in other teams. I do have a couple other Electivire teams that I've built, so we'll see if we can kind of show it off better in those. But let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Please leave a like and subscribe for more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet videos like this one. I'm excited to keep making videos and showing off awesome Pokemon and awesome teams. I have a lot more teams that I've been cooking. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, please subscribe. And also, lastly, please have a good day. See you next time.